It's 7 o'clock. We're now going to begin the March 1st, 2011 regular meeting. We do have a quorum. At this time, we'll have the prayer by Alderman Green and the pledge by Vice Mayor Farmer.
Stand, please. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, thank you for this beautiful day that you've given us. Thank you for the many, many blessings we have to live in this country, to be able to get up and come out and even come to this meeting. God, we thank you. There's so many people that are hurting. We have people that are hungry, people that have no place to stay, people that have no jobs. And dear God, all the fighting that's going on everywhere, we just pray, God, that you would just take over and take control. And we know that you can if that is in your will. And we just pray all these things for the people that are just being shot down. There's just things going on everywhere around us. And we just pray that you would keep us as a city, a close community, and let us as a board be willing to do whatever we can to help our citizens. And dear God, we thank you for the great day we had today at our ribbon cutting for the senior centers. It is we've just waited so long for this, and they waited so long for a good place, and now an even better place with more room. Thank you for all the staff and everyone that worked so hard to do that. And dear God, we just pray as we make decisions tonight that you would just be with us. And in our hearts, we know that we will do our best. And we thank you again for every blessing, and I pray blessings on each and every home in this city and worldwide. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. This is certainly a handsome crowd here tonight. I just want to thank everyone for being here. If you'll be patient, we're going to go through our department reports, and then we have some very special presentations. We'll begin with Fire Department.
Mayor, Alderman, for the month of February 2011. For the month of February 2011, we had a total of 52 calls consisting of 3 structure fires, 13 fire alarms, 3 grass fires, 2 hazardous materials calls, 10 motor vehicle accidents, 7 medical calls, 10 emergency miscellaneous, 4 non-emergency miscellaneous. The month of February 2011, we had an average response time of 2.8 minutes, and our water consumption was 6,500 gallons. Any questions?
Any questions? Thank you. And I'm going to have to backtrack. So when we have something fun, I always get ahead. We need to approve the minutes. Approve the minutes for January 27, 2011, special call.
Make a motion to approve.
I need a second.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. We have a meeting. What?
Can it be passed to the last of the police report, for the police reports,
Do what?
to the last of the
Add you to the
department
last?
reports?
Yes, that'd be fine. January 28th, 2011, special meeting, and February 1, 2011, regular meeting. I need a motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve. I need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, we're going to move right along. We've got just a little switching to do. We're going to go now to the codes department, please.
Mayor, Alderman, for the month of February 2011, the Codes Department issued 1 single-family dwelling permit, 3 commercial permits, 5 miscellaneous permits, 3 sign permits, 1 other permit. Total number of permits issued for the month was 13. Total monthly revenue was $3,351.44. Complaints called in for the month was 1 for tall grass, 12 for junk cars and yards, 26 trash and yards, and 25 other. Impact fees for the month was $884 for road, $311 for park, $112 for police. Monthly revenue with impact fees was $4,658.44. Total number of single-family permits issued year-to-date is 2. Total number of single-family permits issued during the same time period in 2010 is 7. Total number of all permits issued this year-to-date is 28.
Any questions? Thank you, Kyle. Parks and Recreation?
Mayor, Vice Mayor, Aldermen, good evening. Parks and Recreation has been very busy again in February. Our programs with our building rentals have been steady, and we have a new program. It's the Lakeside Dance Team. They have had 4 programs in February with an attendance of 51, and we welcome them to our park-sponsored programs. As you can see, our visitors in the park for February, we had 5,832 vehicles, and the national standard is 2.5 people per vehicle. So in February, we had 14,580 people visit the park. Our athletic coordinator, Rob Smith, reports that the Blackman Blaze High School Softball Invitational Tournament for middle school softball teams had 18 teams, and this occurred this past Friday and Saturday. There were many, many fans there supporting their teams. We estimated 1,600 plus in attendance for Friday night and Saturday. And I want to thank the Laverne Police Department for providing a very safe and very positive environment for the teams and the fans, and for the Parks Department. We, in preparation for the upcoming ball season and for this tournament, Field 7 needed a net, and so our guys got together and they put up a net. I think we have a couple of pictures here we would like to show you at this time. This is Aaron and Mike Wilson up in the bucket trucks. They are putting up this net, and here we are trying to take it over. This took approximately 2.5 hours to get the net stretched, and then about another hour to get it wrapped up and fixed up really good, and this is the end result. By doing this in-house, we saved $4,000, and our guys worked very, very hard in doing this. We would like to invite everyone to come out to celebrate Laverne history. That would be on Saturday, March the 12th. Alderman Waldron is very proud of this event. It is sponsored by Parks and Recreation and the Historical Preservation. It will be Saturday, March the 12th at the Civic Auditorium from 3 to 5. Anyone who has any old photos that you would like to share or any memorabilia from Laverne history, please bring, and we will be happy to display those things for you. And as has been mentioned, we did have our ribbon cutting at the Senior Center today. We've added 875 square feet to our center. We are so proud, and thank you to all of our elected officials and everyone who came out today to help the seniors celebrate. And we did celebrate. We had cake, and it was good. Any questions?
Thank you, Donna.
Thank you.
Finance Department?
Good afternoon, Mayor and Alderman. Tonight's financial report represents year-to-date through January 31st. For our general fund, our expenses have exceeded revenues by approximately $981,000. Would like to make a special note that we have been busy collecting sales property tax this week, and that's going very well. And I think we're about 90% collected, which is very good for this month. Local sales tax, we have collected $1.9 million, and that is about $162,000 better than last year. I'm sorry, $162,000 better than budget, and about $216,000 better than prior year. State Street Aid Fund, the expenses have exceeded revenues by about $372,000. Stormwater revenues have exceeded expenses by approximately $329,000. And in our water sewer fund, expenses have exceeded revenues by approximately $894,000 year-to-date. On the second page is our cash balances in our various bank accounts. And on the third page is a comparison to prior year. As compared to prior year for the general fund, expenses have exceeded revenues by $236,000. And in the water sewer fund, expenses are down about $184,000 as compared to prior year. Any questions?
Any questions, comments? Thank you.
Thank you.
Library?
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Aldermen. In February 2011, the library checked out 11,204 items. 10,526 patrons visited the library last month with an average per day of 439. We issued 55 new juvenile cards and 193 new adult cards last month. We ran 41 programs in February with a total attendance of 888. 3,437 people came in to use our computers as well. So, Read the Movies is back in March with a family-friendly selection. Amy has chosen Alice's Adventures in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll, and feel free to read any edition you like. We hope the whole family will come out. The book discussion will be held on Saturday, March 19th at 2, and the movie based on the book will be shown on Friday the 25th at 7 p.m. And we're showing the Tim Burton version of the movie, so we think it'll have a broad appeal. For those of you who enjoy crafting, the Yarn Spinners Bee is still going strong. You can bring your favorite craft project to work on Wednesday, March 9th at 2:30. We've seen so many amazing projects from this group, but beginners are welcome also, and you can feel free to learn a new craft from somebody who's attending as well. We haven't forgotten our teens this month. Molly and Carol have a video game day planned for Saturday, March 12th at 2, and a very cool inkblot art craft planned for Saturday the 26th, also at 2. And as usual, Blab will meet on the third Tuesday of the month at 6. Children's staff are working hard this month for the American Girl Tea Party, which will take place in April. This year we're featuring Felicity, who lived in Colonial Williamsburg, and we chose her partially because the American Girl Company is retiring the doll. So some lucky attendant will be able to win a doll that Mom and Dad won't be able to buy for them very soon, so we're excited about that. The tea party is scheduled for Saturday, the April 9th, at 11 and 2, and tickets will be available at the children's desk beginning on March 9th, and you have to pick those up in person. And even though you need a ticket, the event is free, as all of our events are. Are there any questions for me?
Any questions? Thank you. Water treatment plant?
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Aldermen. We have as our monthly report for the month of January and comparatively of a year back, 2010. The first columns are just our volume processed and our volume delivered. Basically with all our testing, it's all in parameters. And a comparison of our chemicals used also. And everything's running very well at the plant. Our maintenance through the end of December was $103,118, and the balance was $17,870 over budget. Our quality calls for the month were only at 2 for this customer assist on their pressure valves. Our cross-connection program going well. Total units discovered was 616. Our inspections collected for the month was at $1,900. And we should have a page 2. This is kind of our year in review, the calendar year versus our maintenance year, and with our maintenance year. And the first column is kind of a typo, I guess. It would be billions of gallons compared for the year to year there. Our turbidity test, just a rundown of all of our percentages were well in the parameter, and a number of tests that we perform each year is listed there. And it goes down to go over our bacteriological testing and chlorine testing, and a comparison of the chemicals for the total of the year is there. Our maintenance for 2009 was at 94,910. For the year 2010, we were a little over 100,000 at 10319. And we have our cross-connection inspections collected for the year at $24,805 for 2009, and a little under $20,000 at $19,898 for 2010. And our number of quality calls we handled for the years.
Any questions from this board? Thank you.
Okay.
Public Works.
Afternoon, Mayor and Aldermen. The monthly report for February 2011 for the street department, they had 22 chipper calls. They picked up 151 loads. Loads hauled off was 7 tons. Workhouse program man hours were 427. Installed 14 signs. Maintained 7. Put down 106 bags of cold mix. Straightened up street lights were 13. Overtime hours were 70. Work orders were 81. Fleet department fixed. Repairs were 15 vehicles. Maintenance was 25, 5 minor, 2 major. Installed 15 tires, 6 batteries, 6 brakes, 4 overtime hours. The special projects with snow removal. The sewer department had 80 work orders. On call responded by sewer, one call responded to the sewer was 100. Overtime man hours was 76. Sewer stoppage was 2. Water department had 64 work orders, 6 new meter sets. Overtime hours was 73.5. Water line breaks were 4. Any questions?
Any questions? Thank you. Okay, Police Department.
Thank you, Mayor. Vice Mayor, Alderman. For the month, we had 2,901 calls. Accidents were at 89. Alarms were at 154. Ambulance calls was at 94. Motorist assist at 88. 32 domestics, 44 burglaries, 32 thefts. Total number of arrests was 115. 12 of those being DUI, 44 for driver's license violation, and 11 for drug arrest. There was 921 citations issued. In the last few months, we have had a lot of burglaries going on in town. The crime suppression unit led by Lieutenant Sloan, we put them in with CID, made them part of a uniform division of CID, so that when CID worked with patrol to make leads or get suspects that we wanted to talk to, they went out and beat feet trying to find these people and see if we could get them arrested and off the street so that we could hopefully lower the burglary rate here in town. I'm proud to report that them working with the CID and patrol unit, that 12 people were arrested for the burglaries that was happening here in town. It didn't stop there, though. Out of those, when they were looking for those 12, they arrested 20 other people on warrants that was outstanding while they were looking for those. They arrested 14 people for drugs. There was 21 miscellaneous arrests. We recovered one Audi car that was stolen, one Ford Explorer that was stolen. They seized a F-150 Ford truck. They got several drugs and drug paraphernalia. Total number of arrests during these last couple of months was 67 made by that unit, which that unit is made up of 3 people, but working with CID and the patrol unit to get their leads. And we wanted to say thank you to them for getting out and for their hard work and for all the department's hard work, and see if we can stop in some of these burglaries. Also, they met with Metro Crime Unit, they met with Rutherford County Crime Unit, they met with Mount Juliet, and from some of our leads that we got, Mount Juliet, Metro, and Rutherford County was unable to solve several of their burglaries due to the arrest that we made on the people and the information that we had. So we think that's working well, and we appreciate the hard work that the Crime Suppression Unit is doing.
Can we get those to kind of step out? Let's give them a
Crime
hand.
Suppression Unit.
Excellent job.
Also, Mayor and Council, we, if you remember back, we spent several $1,000s in money training first responders with the police department and also with the fire department. I think there was, what, $12,000, $13,000 in training. We did that because of the ambulance service most time only has one ambulance on the north end of town, and if it's busy, then the people or the community has to look to us for help. And we wanted to make sure that we had the training and was able to help in a situation if we needed to be. That situation came around last week. We had a 16-year-old that was shot twice. We had officers that responded to the scene pretty quickly. But Mayor, if you'd step forward, I'd like to recognize one of those officers,
I'll
please.
be honored.
Officer Lisinski, would you come forward, please? I would read what's on here. I'll let the mayor do it if she wants to, but basically what we got was that the officer was the first on the scene, or one of the first people on the scene, and when that happened, she went in, took care of the crime scene that was there, made sure that it was safe, made sure that the area was safe for the other officers to come in, and then switched roles very quickly and started administering first aid to the person that had been shot. She didn't have time to get her medical bag out of the car because of the situation, but it's one of those things where she adapted. She found stuff to stop the bleeding. She immediately started rendering first aid, which did help the victim. The victim is going to fully recover, hopefully, on this. But we're proud of her making that sacrifice to get the training to be able to help the people in need when time is there. And I'll ask the mayor to read that, please.
Love to. Outstanding service awarded to Officer Jillian Lewinsky for your outstanding service to our community as a police officer. While being first one on the scene of a shooting, you helped secure the scene and without hesitation administered medical aid to the shooting victim by stopping the bleeding and remained calm in a critical and stressful situation. February 16th, 2011. We're very, very proud of you.
As far as the report goes, are there any questions for me?
Any questions? Excellent job. Thank y'all very, very much. Okay, at this time, we're also going to have some more presentations. And I would like to introduce at this time Ms. Taylor Toomey. Am I saying Toomey? She is with Tennessee Recovery Project. And if you want to step right up here, can you probably have to go to the podium. And this is very, very special, and I'm honored to also be a part of this, and I'll let y'all take the stage.
All right, good evening, everyone. My name is Cole Harper, and this is my coworker Taylor Toomey. We are with the Tennessee Recovery Project, which is a grant through FEMA. What we do is locate and provide counseling resources to victims who were affected by the flood that devastated much of Middle Tennessee last May. Though me and Taylor are very grateful that FEMA was able to financially assist many victims, we would like to extend the bulk of our gratitude and recognition to the first responders in Rutherford County who bravely went in and did whatever they could to help some of these victims. So on behalf of the Tennessee Recovery Project, we've prepared some appreciation certificates as a small token of our thanks to you all. At this time, would members of the Laverne Fire Department, Police Department, and Public Works, Box 100, and Rescue Squads step forward and accept our certificates, please?
You might want to do them one at a time.
Or,
There's a whole lot of us.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, we can start with the police department. Someone or a couple people, you? Okay.
Lieutenant, would y'all step forward?
Don't want to, I say walk over there with them.
Is anyone from the Public Works Department? Go ahead. I'm assuming everyone in the green shirt is the Box 100 people. If one or a couple or whatever want to come up here, that'd be awesome.
Singing Chris. Chris was our assistant chief.
Y'all go.
Mary, your lieutenant. Deanna, Bobby. Bobby. Chris was our assistant chief.
Hurry up.
I don't know if anyone from the rescue squad is
Yeah,
here.
yeah, we got some. Wait, they're here.
Awesome,
They're here.
yay, I was really nervous.
They're here. They're here.
Oh, okay.
Thank you very, very much. And I just want us to look at these men, women who spent hours, not and days and weeks. I thought sometimes we were going to kill each other in that room at Station 3. But this is what Laverne is all about, people. Helping hands, none of them complained. None of them, I mean, they spent hours there. Their families, I don't think some of them saw their families for days. Went above and beyond the call that day, those weeks, those hours, those months. And again, this is what Laverne is all about. I thank you from the bottom of my heart, and this just shows the caliber we are here in Laverne, and I'm so proud of each and every one of them. Let's give them all a hand again. Thank y'all so much. All right. Are you going to make these poor guys sit here all, stand here all night? Okay. If y'all get tired, we won't be mad if you leave.
They're already tired.
Oh, wonderful night, wonderful night. Thank y'all so much. All right, we're going to move on now. We're going to move on to old business. Ordinance 2010-23, an ordinance to amend Article 1, Section 1.050, Article 2, Section 2.020, Article 4, Section 4.70, and Article 8, Section 8.80 of the Laverne zoning ordinance regarding signs. We've been dealing with this now for several months. I will ask for a motion to approve or to deny this ordinance.
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
I have an ordinance to approve by Alderman Broker. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Vice Mayor Farmer. Do I have any discussion?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
Grant, did we work out the situation with the rescue squad in regards to their sign? I know we talked a little bit on the workshop.
Yes, sir. I think we've come up with an option for them to be able to, the city be able to display the sign for them, and the city can pull the permit on their behalf.
Yes, and we did discuss that. I discussed that with them. Okay. Do I have any more concerns, comments? I'll take a vote. Roll call. Alderman Broker?
Aye.
Alderman Waldron?
No.
Vice Mayor?
Aye.
Alderman Green? Aye. And I vote aye. Motion passes to the sign ordinance. Ordinance 2010-24, 28, an ordinance to amend Title 1, Chapter 4, Section 1-402 of the Laverne Municipal Code regarding the duties of the city administrator, and Title 1, Chapter 2 of the Laverne Municipal Code regarding the duties of the mayor. Tonight, I think we will be resolving this matter. I think we will be hiring a new administrator, and I do feel that these duties, this is part of his job title, and I think we need to move this back to his duties. So I entertain a motion to accept or to deny.
I make the motion to accept.
Okay, a motion to accept. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have 2 seconds. We're going to do a roll call. Alderman Green.
Aye.
Vice Mayor.
Aye.
Alderman Waldron.
Aye.
Alderman Broker.
Aye.
And I vote aye. Motion passes. Ordinance 2011-02, an ordinance to amend Title 3, Chapter 3, Section 3-310 of the Laverne Municipal Code to increase the city litigation tax to the state allowed maximum. This is simply the tax where you pay if you get a ticket or you go to municipal court for any reason. We were at $10, the state maximum fine, or the state allows us to go to $13.75? $13.75. This again is strictly for anyone that breaks the law, and this money will go into our emergency communications fund. So I need a motion to accept or to deny.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Vice Mayor. I need a second.
Second.
Second by Alderman Green. All in favor?
Aye.
No.
Roll call, please. Alderman Green.
Aye.
Vice Mayor.
Aye.
Alderman Waldron.
No.
Alderman Broker.
Aye.
And I vote aye. Motion carries. Ordinance 2011-03, an ordinance to amend Title 2, Chapter 6, Section 2-601 of the Laverne Municipal Code to add a new member to the Local Emergency Planning Committee from the Water Treatment Plant. I need a motion to accept or to deny.
Motion to accept.
Motion to accept. I need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries. Now we will move to the consent agenda. I believe the only thing we have on the consent is the surplus vehicle. I need a motion to accept or to deny the consent agenda.
Motion to accept.
I have a motion to accept. I need a second.
Second.
I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Number 10. Oh, number 9. Number 9. Oh, almost forgot the big one, didn't I? Just fooling y'all. Number 9, motion to appoint a new city administrator. We've been going through all the proper channels, doing everything for the last few months. I want to thank our HR director, his team that went through all of this, did an excellent job. Want to thank you for the time that y'all all gave to this. We all had the time to interview ourselves. And at this time, after doing much research, much studying, and going strictly by what our job application asks for, I would like to make a motion to offer Steve Mayer the city administration's position. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Now we'll open the floor up for discussion.
I think this was very hard because we
was.
have two that were so well qualified.
Mhm.
One just did not meet all the requirements, but it was just the hardest decision.
Two very good men.
Two very good.
Very, and again, I commend our staff for really studying and very, very good points.
I'd like to, we just have one applicant, can we retain somebody else?
The motion has been made for one in a second. You can either vote to no or yes. Do I have any more discussion? Please feel free at this time.
The one thing I want to say, the gentleman that does not meet the criteria at this point, in my opinion, very well qualified for the job. Quite frankly, I wish it didn't get to this point. If we were not going to have him be a viable candidate, I wish he would not have got to this point. Having said that, I think he's very qualified.
I do too.
I agree. I mean,
But the doors are not closed on others,
it's,
positions, hopefully, here.
It was very hard. It was very hard.
Has everybody had all the questions, comments they're wanting to make?
The motion done made, it ain't no, the water's done run under the bridge.
All right, we're going to do a roll call vote. Alderman Green,
Aye.
Vice Mayor,
aye.
Alderman Walter,
No.
Alderman Broker.
Aye.
And I vote aye. Ladies and gentlemen, we will be making an offer to Mr. Steve Mayer for our city administrator's position. Okay, we're going to move on now to number 10. Approve city bids and purchases. Is Felicia here tonight? Okay. The first thing on is the RFP for the identity theft. Is anyone here that can answer for Felicia here? I don't see anybody else. Phyllis, do you know anything?
Than what was discussed at the workshop.
Okay, we discussed this at the workshop. In light of some situations that happened back, we feel that this is in the best interest of our employees that we put some type of identity theft in place for at least 2 years. This was of no doings of this board, but it is our duty. I feel that we need at this time to try and do what we can to make sure that our employees and their families are taken care of.
There is a spreadsheet on the next page.
On the next
that
page.
breaks down what the cost would be in our best estimate.
Wasn't it Debex?
Debix, if you go with the one bureau option, it's $22,008. If you go with all 3 credit bureaus, it's $25,340. And then the I-Security, it's substantially more.
Now the 3 bureaus, that's where they go,
There's 3 credit bureaus, and this would monitor all 3.
All 3 of them.
Instead of just one.
And that would be for 2 years. We want to make sure that they did understand that was for 2 years. Okay. What is the pleasure of this board?
I'd like to make a motion for the 3 bureaus at $25,340.
I have a motion to accept Debex for the 3 bureaus. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. We will do a roll call. Alderman Broker.
Aye.
Alderman Waldron.
Aye.
Vice Mayor.
Aye.
Alderman Green.
Aye.
And I vote aye. All right, next, okay. Next is for the Old Timers 2011 Stage and Sound. The RFPs for those did come in, and Alderman Broker, I believe you know a little bit more about this one.
Yes, ma'am. City's been with this company for, I think, 6 years. The owners are local here in Rutherford County and Smyrna, very willing to continue doing business with us, especially in light of some of the things later on we're going to vote on. They really would like to partner with us this year and beyond.
Okay. So we have that in motion form to accept.
I'd like to make a motion to accept.
Okay, we're going to let Alderman Broker, he made the motion, Vice Mayor
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. The next is for the, let me say this right, retort fit of the sewer department camera. This came in at what, 74,000, 79? This is something that we have got to have. We have no way of checking. We've got a lot of seepage that's going into our sewer, which is costing us money because that we have to pay for that to go into Metro. I think Rand shopped around, saved us almost $25,000 in doing the shopping. And we really, this is not a nicety, this is a necessity. So do I have a motion to accept or to deny?
I'll make a motion to accept.
I have a motion to accept. Do I have a second?
Second.
For discussion, Phyllis, where's this $79,000?
That will come out of the water sewer fund.
Water sewer?
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No.
Aye. Roll call, please. Alderman Broker?
Aye.
Alderman Waldron?
No.
Vice Mayor?
Aye.
Alderman Green?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Motion carries. All right, number 11, we're going to our boards and committees. The first being our local emergency planning committee. And we have a vacant spot for the public works and for the water treatment plant. Now, I don't see any, of course, have you spoken to anyone regarding? I know we're waiting for public works.
Thomas for the water treatment plant.
Okay,
And I'd like to keep the public works, still like the public works director.
all righty. We have a motion for Thomas Champagne. Am I saying that correctly? I always say Champagne. Okay. For the water treatment plant, and we will leave the public works vacant until we have a new director. All in favor? Oh, I'm sorry, second?
Second.
Have a second. All in favor of Thomas?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you for donating your time. B is the Economic Development Advisory Committee. We sent out letters to all of the former members. It takes a board vote to remove a member from this board. I did get the letter returned from Ms. Holt. We called, the phone had been disconnected. Emails, there was no emails. At this time, I will be asking that we remove Shamika Holt from the advisory due to the fact that we cannot reach her in any form that we have on file. If she comes back later and would like to be on the board, we'll graciously accept her. But we have no way of getting in contact. So I would like to ask this board I will make the motion to remove Shamika Holt from the economic development. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second. All in favor of removal?
Aye.
Aye. All right, and then we will advertise, and then we will be bringing this back next month. Okay? Number 12, Resolution 2011-06, a resolution adopting a plan of services for the annexation of certain areas by the city of Laverne. Ms. Green, I don't know if we brought you up to snuff on this one. What we've got is a piece of property that is directly behind, okay. And so what we're having to divide this out in each section for the services, then the actual, and then the zoning. So this is for a plan of services. Do I have a motion to accept or to deny?
Make a motion to accept.
I have a motion to accept. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Any discussion?
This is the annexation of that property behind Cedar Grove School.
Yes, yes it is. Okay. Do I have any more questions, comments, or concerns? We'll do a roll call. Alderman Green?
Aye.
Vice Mayor?
Aye.
Alderman Waldron?
No.
Alderman Broker?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Motion carries. Okay. Ordinance 2011-04, an ordinance to annex certain territory and to incorporate same within the corporate boundaries of the city of Laverne, Tennessee. We are still discussing the same piece of property.
Motion to approve it.
I have a motion to approve. I need a second.
Second.
I have a second. Any discussion? If not, I will do a roll call. Alderman Green?
Aye.
Vice Mayor?
Aye.
Alderman Waldron?
No.
Alderman Broker?
Aye.
I vote aye. Motion carries. Number 14, Ordinance 2011-05, an ordinance to amend the City of Laverne zoning ordinance by changing the official zoning map for a portion of tax map 28, parcel 62.02, consisting of 2.327 acres to an I-2 heavy industrial zoning district. We are, again, talking about the same piece of property. I need a motion to accept or to deny.
Make a motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve. I need a second.
Second.
I have a second. Any discussion? We will do a roll call. Alderman Green.
Aye.
Vice Mayor.
Aye.
Alderman Waldron.
No.
Alderman Broker.
Aye.
I vote aye. Motion carries.
Well, that's just first reading on all three of them.
Yes.
Okay.
Resolution 2011-07, a resolution to write off Water Department bad debts. Again, let's reiterate on these. When we write these off, let's make this clear. This is for tax. We have to keep up for our auditors. We continue on with these bad debts. They're not totally in the bad. We do send them to collections. We do continue to try to collect this money. I think that was a misconception to a lot in the public. So they need to know we have to do this in order to keep our books straight with our auditors. But we do and have collected a great deal of these, even though they're on the write-off. So I need a motion to accept or to deny Resolution 2011-07.
I make a motion to accept.
I'm going to have a motion to accept. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have 2 seconds. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Number 16, at this time, we have a presentation from Mr. Ralph Cross and Phyllis regarding our water and sewer system. They're going to give us an update. We've had to do this regarding the rate study, and we're going to turn this over to them to give us the most adequate information they can give us.
Yes. Due to the financial status of the Water and Sewer Fund and letters from the State Wastewater Board, the board has recently asked for a utility rate study. As we all know, the city of Laverne has not had a rate change since the mid to late 90s. The board chose MTAS to participate in the study due to their expertise in this area, because this is something that they do very well. And Ralph Cross with MTAS has spearheaded this study, and will present tonight his findings and recommendations. And with that said, I'd like to introduce Ralph Cross and have him come up and do his presentation.
Thank you, Phyllis. Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Board Mayor, and Aldermen. It's nice to be with you tonight. I would like to express my appreciation to Phyllis and her staff and to Bruce. They've been very helpful in providing information to make this analysis much easier. There's a lot of information to pull together, to look at, to try to make an evaluation of where you stand. As we enter into this presentation, you have challenges before you, and the Water and Wastewater Board is asking you to have this review prepared to give you insight into your challenges. In addition to the plan tonight, we'll be talking a variety of things. Are all of you familiar with MTAS? You know where we are? I'm Ralph Cross. I'm a finance and accounting consultant. I work in the Nashville area. I teach classes. I do finance consulting and also do utility rate studies. As we embarked upon this presentation, wanted to identify the mission, and we want to prepare a multi-year financial analysis of the water and sewer utilities. We want to consider the financial impact of implementing a capital improvement plan. You've got an aggressive capital improvement plan. This is part of this presentation that we'll be talking about. It's integral in terms of defining where you are and where you're going to have a good understanding of the capital investment needs you have, because that affects your income, it affects your cash flow. We want to evaluate the cost of debt and depreciation associated with this capital improvement plan. How much money does it cost to implement? Do you have enough money in revenue, or do we have to borrow some money? That was another consideration that I have included in this evaluation. And in addition to that, we want to project the water and sewer rates it's going to need to operate the utility on a sound financial basis. So where do we start? First thing we need to look at is what the state looks at. The state is asking you to make sure, as part of their laws of compliance, that you have positive total net assets, that you have positive change in net assets, and that you're able to pay your bonded debt. So that's where we're going to begin for you. As we start looking at this, the Wastewater Facilities Act of 1987, it says that created a board to oversee financially distressed water and wastewater systems. And I'm afraid that you fit that category, and that's why we're having this meeting. Financial distress, 2 consecutive years of negative change in net assets, or a deficit in total net assets, or default on debt. You have not defaulted on debt. You have positive net assets, but you have some changes in the net assets that are creating some concerns of that Water and Wastewater Board. When you are declared distressed, you must present a plan that's going to address that distress and work your way out of it over time. When we started evaluating, I began with pulling together some financial statements from the past so that we have a trend, looking at what has happened over the past couple of years, looking at your current budget and how that factors in, and then I make projections to the future. The first thing we have is showing up is a large negative change in net assets in your fiscal year 2008-2009. It's due to the increase in cost of operations. There was an increase in your cost. There's also a recognition of a special item. A special item is something unusual that doesn't happen too often. In this case, a legal judgment of $650,000 is in your audit. In addition to that, there's a restatement of the net assets in recognition of the change in your perception of how much that exposure you have with the impact of the change in the sewer rate settlement. So we have, after we deal with that larger change in net assets, we have negative change in net assets over the next couple of years. As you'll see, there's that large change in net assets, $2,857,000. You've got $500,000 associated with that rate recognition on the sewer rate, and several $100,000 associated with the legal settlement. Then the next year, in 2009, we have a negative $1,400,000 and an aggressive negative change of $1,494,000. This in itself would carry you into this distressed evaluation by the Water and Wastewater Department. Well, I mentioned before, your total net assets are positive in that we have $42 million, but that is declining because the change in net assets are declining as time goes along. When we start looking at the financial review, we see the revenue is not growing. As a matter of fact, it's declining according to your audited financial statements. Your operating expenses increased $1 million between 2007-8 and 2008-9, and operating income is showing a consistent loss. So if we look at 2007-8, our audit, the 2008-09 audit, and the 2009-10 audit, revenues are flat, even declining a bit. As we look at our operating expenses, 6.4, 7.5, 7.4 again in terms of our operating expenses. Obviously, if expenses exceed revenues, we're going to have negative income. So there's no money from revenues that are making it into the coffers so that you can save it or spend it for other things. We're actually losing money. What about debt service? The utilities debt service, looking at evaluation of your scheduled debt in your financial report, it seems to remain consistent throughout fiscal year 2016, which is the study period we're looking at. So there's no significant change in the level of amount of money that you're spending on debt, even though the principal is beginning to climb, because as debt matures and you pay more of the principal off, the composition of your principal and interest becomes more principal as interest begins to decline. This part is part of your operating, non-operating costs that you deal with on the, we used to call it an income statement. It's not quite that anymore, but for discussion purposes, income statement is good enough. We deal with this as expenses. When we deal with this, these are reduction in liabilities on the balance sheet. If we're looking at our water and sewer sales revenue, metered sales and sewer charges, not all the other miscellaneous revenue, not the rent or anything else in there, we're just looking at the sales of water and sewer. Principal and interest represent $1.5 million of our 5.7 in revenue. So 73% of our revenue is available for spending for operations, where 27% is dedicated to the reduction of debt. That's not a bad ratio. But as we talk about the capital improvement plan, that ratio will change as the revenue that we need to have changes. So this ratio, whenever you start seeing the ratio of principal and interest to your sales revenue over 25%, you need to be concerned that you're not getting too upside down in terms of your revenues going toward the retirement of debt. Non-operating revenue is not offsetting your non-operating expense. What am I talking about? We have operating expense, which is the revenues less the operating expense. Then we have another section of the audit which deals with non-operating revenues and non-operating expenses. Basically, non-operating revenues are our interest earnings, rent, things that are not related to sales of sewer service or water service. The next situation is the expense portion is our interest expense on debt. So our non-operating revenue and debt, we're seeing negative numbers there. Tap fees are not, which were stronger in 2007 and 2008, are starting to decline in the next 2 years, and that recognition of the legal judgment and the dispute recognition shows up in the audit at this point. So non-operating revenues, this number right here, that's the difference in the interest earned and the interest paid. Difference in interest earned, interest paid primarily. So you can see that we're not adding to the coffers with our operating income, and then we're having to pay interest on our bonded debt, which makes the situation worse. So our income, or in parentheses, loss, before contributions and transfers, we've gone from losing $300,000 in 2007-8 to $1.7 million in 2009 and 10. This situation is not improving. We do have tap fees. As I mentioned, tap fees were fairly strong in 2007-8, but they're falling off. They're half what they were. Development has slowed down over the past couple of years. And there's our special item, our legal judgment, $650,000 that's recognized by the auditor as a liability against the sewer system. So changes in net assets. Their assets were $327,000 in terms of changes of the first year. There's a $2,200,000 swing in 2008-9, another $1,414,000 swing in 2009, and these are represented by the graphs I showed you a little earlier in that change in net assets. When we recognize that restatement of the sewer adjustment, the restatement that was in the audit was $2,857,000 negative change in 2008 and 9. Well, income is falling, operating expenses rise, debt obligations remain constant. Where's the money coming from to help us make ends meet? It's coming from our cash reserves. This is a graphical representation of the black line representing their operating revenues. This is all the revenues that we've got that are dealing with the operations. This is our operating expenses and the non-operating expenses. So as we pay more in interest than we earn, it contributes to the losses. So our expenses are here, our revenues are there. This green line represents the amount of money that we would be earning if it was over the zero. But this is below the zero, so we are losing here. This is representing the money that we're losing between our operations, including the interest expense we're paying. Now, even though we've got a negative situation here in terms of our income, we still have to deal with capital improvements to the system. We've got operations to pay. We can't stop making water. Everyone, when individuals want and turn that knob at home, they want to have clean water coming out. They want to get rid of it when they don't need it anymore. So we're going to have operations continuing. The assets are wearing out. They have to be looked at, replaced, and evaluated. Here's our proposed capital projects that's been submitted by the department. This is an aggressive schedule. It's $2 million in 11-12, $635,000 in water, $1.5 million in sewer, $3 million in water in 12-13, $1.5 million in sewer, and so on. As you see, $2 million, $4.5 million, $5 million, $5 million, $2 million in plant improvements. And then there's capital that's needed for equipment for water and sewer and billing, $300,000 roughly the first couple of years and a couple $100,000 a year thereafter. So we're dealing with operations. Our stuff is wearing out. It's needing to be replaced. You have capital needs too. This is not helping whenever there's no money coming into the utilities coffers, and you've got these kind of needs as well. So you've got the operations cost, you've got cash flow needs associated with this. When we talk about the income, depreciation is an operating cost. You don't pay anyone depreciation. Depreciation is like when you go and you buy a car, whenever you drive it off the lot, it's not worth as much as it was whenever you bought it. Why? It's used. So as you use it, we start seeing the cost and the value begins to decline with use. So currently, your current depreciation from your audit is $1.7 million. Well, as we implement this capital project, our cost of operation are going to increase because we will be using this new equipment that will increase our cost of use. So we'll be seeing our cost of operation increase $80,000 to $200,000 to $354,000 and so on as these dollars become reflective, an accounting entry, a recognition of the use of those assets. Now that money's not going anywhere. It's still in the bank. That's the good news. This money is being earned, it's being accounted for to represent the use of your system, and it's set back so that you can invest it in the system again. These rates that we're talking about will have to pay for this because this is consideration of that change of net assets that the state is very concerned about. Well, what are our assumptions? Capital projects, in order for us to forecast into the future, we had to identify where we were. We had to see what the condition is now. We had to see what the condition of our capital assets are and what we need to be bringing to the table. We need to look at the depreciation that is going to be generated from the installation of these capital projects. And then we start thinking that everything costs more tomorrow than it costs today. So salaries going up, benefits going up, other costs going up. We've got projections of these salaries at 3%, benefits going up at 15%, and other costs going up at 3%. Is that accurate? It's a close guess. What's going to happen? We really don't know. What's happening with gasoline? Gasoline affects a lot of different things. We're seeing the price go up, delivery costs go up, food costs go up, all kinds of things are going up. But this is a representation of trying to put together some entry into the model to recognize that costs are going to be more for next year. We can't project any growth in the water. Over the last 3 years, we haven't seen any growth. So there's not going to be unless a new business comes in or we have a population surge, we're not going to see any growth in that system or new ratepayers coming into our system. So we have no revenues increases applied in the water and sewer for this first case. We've got to see what's going to happen if we don't address this at all. So here we are. This is an expansion of the graph I just showed you. We currently have, our expenses are currently above our operating revenues now. So we have negative income. In 2008-9, it got worse. In 2009-10, it stayed basically the same relationship. Using your budget figures this year and the revenues that are projected for the course of the year, we're seeing a slight increase in revenues projected for this year, but expenses may go up too. So we're still seeing the balancing act between the revenues and the costs are still below in the negative territory. And it stays there. It just gets worse. Revenues remaining flat and expenses going up, there's no place for our net income but to decline further. Well, of course, this is a cash flow that represents what's happening with that capital plan, and after this it won't matter. The rest of this won't matter after next year. So what are we going to do? If our capital projects move forward as proposed and our expenses grow as previously noted, the rate increases that we need to make as soon as possible, and I've got in the model May 1st. If you could do it sooner than that, it's better. The more money that you start generating, the better. But we got a 40% water increase and a 60% sewer increase, and then after that, annually, 3% and 6% rate increases over time to help control growth. This is required to get out of the hole. And then these are going to help you maintain a positive relationship between the operating costs and the expenses. As a result, revenue increases our change in net assets turned positive, and total net assets begin to grow instead of decline. That's a different graph than we were looking at before. Now we're looking at, now this is a big jump, but it has to come up and out of that negative territory into the positive. And so we're seeing a positive relationship now between revenue and costs, and our income is above zero. Now this is running about $1.5 million. Now we have an increase in revenues are providing us money that is returning to the operations, that's going into the checking account. But what happens when we start figuring in that $20 million capital plan? Well, cash has helped for a little while, but the implementation of these capital projects, you're still in the hole for $6 or $8 million. Well, how do we deal with this? A suggestion is to borrow $8.8 million. In 2012-13, I projected a 4% rate of financing over 15 years. Were you to do this, you're of course adding more pressure because you have interest payments to cover, and in your cash flow you have principal payments to cover in addition to your current debt. But by doing this, you're picking up approximately $300,000 a year in interest, $343,000, $325,000. The first year I've got half, and considering that you borrow the money in January, half the interest will be covered the first year, and then the full interest payments the next 2 years, or the next 14 years or 15 years, and then principal payments running about $440,000 to $457,000. It's going to increase over time. The interest will fall off the principal, matching that level term, much like you have with your current debt. The $1.5 million, $1.1 million, $1.145,000, that's what is in your current schedule. Your interest is running about $500,000, declining over the study period, and we're picking up and adding a little bit more interest here. That would be your new principal and interest graph, with picking up some of the interest in 2012-13, picking up the principal and interest for these next 3 years. And this is only a partial graph, keeping in mind that's a 15-year debt instrument we're talking about. Because you're talking about long-lived assets that you're buying with this debt. So 15 years is going to will be paid off long before the assets themselves are depreciated, because the assets we're talking about, for the most part, are running 30 to 40-year assets. The capital on the equipment is not. That's more like 10 years. But on average, the assets are running long lives, so your debt would be paid off a long time before the assets wear out. If we do this suggestion, we have positive change in net assets as before. We show positive total net assets. We have revenue from sales to increase the growth in annual operating expenses, growth in depreciation from capital improvements, and we can pay the interest on the existing debt and principal payments on the new debt. The only change is in this year of 2013 that you need just a little bump in that growth because of the impact of the new debt issues. This is going to provide you with these positive changes to your revenue over your expenses. You're going to have positive income. You're going to have enough money for the capital projects and to pay your principal and maintain a balance of $1,500,000 in the city's utility. If you start looking at the percentages, we're staking and talking with Phyllis, we're staying with the same rate structure. What was the first 2,000 gallons on residential rate, that rate increase would go to $13.33. Thereafter, the $2.46 would go to $3.44 per 1,000 gallons. The $11.59 outside would go to $16.23. $3.02 per 1,000 gallons existing for the next 4,000 would go to $4.23. $4.31 for the next 1,000 gallons would go to $6.03. Sewer inside, $11.73 current, would go to $18.77. You've got to overcome those judgments against the sewer, so that we're looking at a little bit more cost associated with the sewer in the increases than in the water. Commercial rate, $12.32 to $17.25. Thereafter, $2.80 to $3.92 per 1,000. $15.18 for the first 2,000 for sewer, $24.29 for $345 for the next 1,000, $5.52 per thousand thereafter. Industrial rate, $224 minimum currently to $313.60. $375 per thousand goes to $525 per thousand. $276 currently to $441.60. $385 per thousand goes to $6.16 per thousand. The state is going to insist that you have positive change in net assets, that you have positive total net assets, and that you fund your debt service. That's the requirements of the law. So in order for you to do that, this recommended rate increase will provide you that necessary revenue to accomplish those requirements and to fund an aggressive capital plan. But in order to do the plan, in addition to the rate increases, you've got to issue some more debt. Now, what do you think will happen if you don't implement the full capital improvement plan? These numbers are going to change because depreciation will change. If you don't want to borrow as much money, you need to review your capital plan and prioritize. If you wish, any change that you make will take this projection and it will be off. So we recommend an annual review. As you close the year each year, we can look at it to see how you are stacking up with the projections, how the expenses are going, how your revenues are going, how the capital plan is going. As you've seen, there's a lot of players associated with this study. As you add capital equipment, your depreciation changes. As you add capital equipment, your cash flow needs change. As you increase rate, as consumption changes, that's going to make a difference in how these revenues play out. MTAS currently is not charging for rate studies. That's probably going to change in the short term. So right now, this study does not cost you anything, so it doesn't affect you, it doesn't hurt you at all in the presentation to this point. But this is very sensitive to these increases and these percentages. So I would recommend to you that if you don't like the rate, if you don't like the revenue increases we're talking about, you've got to go back in and reduce expenses. You've got to change the capital plan. And I'll be glad to help you analyze that if you need to make some changes and want to look at it a different way. But this is one solution that I'm presenting to you. And you need to take a solution to the board in July, as I understand. Do you have any questions?
And what you need to help me express to these, if we don't make these changes in July, the state comptroller, they will start making changes for us. Because we are already in that 2-year, actually we're going into 3 years. So if we don't step up and start showing some type of effort, they will step in, to my understanding, and set the rates for us in the water.
They have the power to do that. Mm-hmm. And they're very serious about you suggesting a plan that's workable. Mm-hmm. This is one solution that will get you into, I think, a positive cash flow, sound financial system position in terms of your water and wastewater utility. And it will fund this $20 million or so capital improvement program for water and sewer. It's very important that you do something, and you do something right away.
Guys, if you have any questions, please.
I don't know what to ask. What can we do?
You know, what you can say, we're kind of stuck with it.
Gotta have.
We're definitely going to have to act, just since we came together as a board. I think it's something like 200,000 in the hole that we've gone, and it's going to continue. Going to have to do something. I say we do it sooner better than later.
Metro continuing to go up, I mean.
They're gonna continue.
The processing, it's a difficult time to be dealing with a situation like this. You're not the only utilities dealing with this. Other utilities not too far from you are dealing with the same pressures. They're having the same issues. And as you evaluate your cost of operation, you don't have a choice of being profitable. You have some choices of how you construct or how you implement certain recommendations, but you need engineering. You've got to engineer and maintain the system you have. A lot of systems put in place with grant money in the past, there's very little more grant money available. There's state revolving funds. There's certain areas that are competitive that you may be able to find better deals, but you have to consider your situation and try to provide for the welfare of your community. Your water and sewer system is a very integral part of your community. Well, I would like to say it's been my pleasure to be with you. I wish I was here to tell you something that you could clap for, but unfortunately, this is a very somber situation, but I'm hopeful I've been helpful. If you have additional questions in the future, if you'll let Phyllis know, and I'll be glad to try to respond to those. And if you want to revisit some of this and reprioritize, I'll be glad to work that in. I don't know how quickly I can do it because I have 2 studies after this one that I'm in the process of working those now. So we'll work it out. We'll try to get you a plan together before you go to the board. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time. Give me just a second here to get our computer hooked back up there. I know that was a lot to grasp, but we've all known this has been on the chopping board for a very long time. We're going to move on now to number 17. We will entertain a motion after I read this, and then after the second, we can certainly discuss this more. Ordinance 2011-06, an ordinance to amend Title 18, Chapter 4, Section 18-401 of the Laverne Municipal Code regarding the water and sewer rates. At this time, I will ask for a motion, and in your motion, please specify what you like for the rate to be. If you'd like to follow Mr. Cross's recommendation, etc., we can ask for the motion. We'll get the second, and then we can have more discussion on that.
I'd like to make a motion to defer as quickly as I think we need to implement something. I think this was put to us tonight. I think we need to have some time to look this over and see if this is the best plan. While I'm pretty certain that it is, I think we need some time to look it over.
Okay. I have a motion to defer. I need a second on that.
Second.
Second, okay. All in favor of deferral till next month?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we're going to defer that. And that's, like I said, we've got it. That way we can have a little more open discussion regarding this. Okay, we're going to move on to number 18. Ordinance 2011-07, an ordinance to amend Title 18, Chapter 1, Section 18-112 of the Laverne Municipal Code regarding damage to water meters.
Make a motion to accept this.
Okay, I have a motion to accept.
Second.
I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We'll do a roll call. Alderman Green?
Aye.
Vice Mayor?
Aye.
Alderman Waldron?
No.
Alderman Broker?
Aye.
I vote aye. Motion carries. Okay, we're going to go to number 19. All right. Motion to approve an equipment lease purchase agreement with Motorola Incorporated for the non-emergency personnel radio equipment. We went over this. This was for the, like the Public Works, several of them, Alderman Green, during the snow. We had some extra. Ricky made sure they all, and it worked beautifully. There was no calls to dispatch. They could talk one-on-one, get into the areas very, very quickly. And I think we even talked about this after the flood, wanting them to be added to this. So I need a motion to accept or to deny.
Motion to accept.
I have a motion to accept. I need a second.
Second.
I have a
Phyllis,
second.
what was the total cost of this? You remember what the total cost was?
On,
217.
oh yeah, Ricky's got those numbers.
217,000 over a 7-year lease period. And I got with Metro actually today. The cost for this fiscal year will be probably somewhere around, I think we figured 1,700. It's $36.16 for a radio, and I think there's 60 some odd radios total.
217,000.
Yes, sir.
I
And
see it, $217,000,
$207.
$364.20.
Yes, sir.
I see it now.
Yes, sir. And that's 1 year in arrears, so it will be into next fiscal year's budget. That's not out of this year's budget. That's 1 year in arrear lease over 7 years. And that 7-year lease would put it almost dead even with the emergency service lease. By the time this come online, it would put them being finalized and paid out almost the same time.
It's approximately 37,000 a year.
Metro Communications did also tell me today that they agreed to give us at no cost those 7 other talk groups for those other departments. So
Where's the 217 coming out of?
It's gonna be split between stormwater, I think it's getting some, and.
it's eight departments.
Would this be better done close to the budget, maybe?
But this is, these
changed
department
so
heads have
far.
already been talked to, and these were existing monies that they were gonna pull this from. Because it averages out about, I think about $4,600 a year per department.
Yeah, because this won't have a financial
Right.
impact this year because we don't pay the first
Right.
lease payment.
It's coming
till-
next year.
Right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Any further questions? Roll call, Alderman Broker,
Aye.
Alderman Waldron,
No.
Vice Mayor,
Yes.
Alderman, and I vote aye. Motion carries. All right, FEMA Hazard Mitigation Grant. This is for the first phase of the Hazard Mitigation Grant Program, and this is to purchase the homes located in the floodplain. Katie, come back up. Let's reiterate on the prices that what we're getting in phase 1.
Board, I did get a little more information
Good.
today at 4:15. If you could please kind of pass
Wonderful.
those down. I've got some spreadsheets that I'm passing out.
Okay.
I got the cost-benefit analysis numbers at
Wonderful.
4:15. On the second page of the 2 sheets, there's a couple of scenarios that I've put forth.
Okay.
The first scenario is buying, well, first off, let me go over the BCA numbers. The first property got a BCA number of 0.15, which does not meet the 1, which is the requirement for it to be a feasible project.
Okay.
There is the capability to average numbers together so that the whole project has a BCA of greater than 1, and then FEMA will take that as an acceptable project. It's still up to the application if to be accepted or denied.
Okay.
But it at least is an acceptable project in their eyes. The second property, the BCA was 2.03. Property number 3 also did not meet. It was 0.57. Property number 4 was 0.74. Property number 5 was 1.23. And the 6th property was 1.17. With property 1 having such a low BCA, there is no scenario that will allow us to buy that property. I definitely regret that. I know the homeowners really want their property bought, and with this number, I just don't see that this is an option for us to buy that property at all. Going to the scenarios that I've put forth, on phase 1, buying all 5 of the remaining properties, the projected cost would be $780,550. FEMA would provide $134,890. TEMA would provide almost $23,000, and our portion would be $622,818. Scenario number 2, buying one property in phase 1. Using what we discussed at workshop, I provided using the highest BCA number, which would be the property number 2. For this, FEMA would be providing $115,000, or no, sorry, that's the total project cost. FEMA would be providing $86,000, TEMA $14,400, and then our city match would also be $14,000. The problem with this comes in is because that BCA is so much higher, the remaining properties, one more would have to be dropped off, and we would only be able to buy 3 properties. And the property number 3 would not be included in the project anymore. And so for phase 2, that would leave properties 4, 5, and 6 with a total cost of $466,000. FEMA's share being $349,537, TEMA's being $58,256, and then our share also being $58,256. Scenario 3 is to do nothing in phase 1 and push all 5 properties back to phase 2 and hope that we would get approved with phase 2. And that would be the total project cost again of $780,550. FEMA's match being $585,412. TEMA's match being $97,568, and then our match also being $97,568.
Okay, we're not guaranteed any of the money in phase 2 right now.
No, we're not. We're not guaranteed any of the money, but it is likely that we would get accepted for a phase 1 project.
Okay, if we went with scenario 2, which looks like, I mean, that's actually buying as much as we can possibly buy.
Scenario 3 would be buying as much as we could possibly buy.
Okay, but that's pushing us into phase 2.
Yes, yes.
Okay, but that's pretty much slim to none.
I'm not really sure.
Okay, but if we do scenario 2, we're doing the 58. We can still go to phase 3, but if we use up our points. So either way, we're messed up.
Pretty much.
Y'all thought
I
I was going to say
did
something
also
else, didn't you?
I know at workshop I mentioned of being able to open up phase 2 to additional properties outside of the floodplain. Based on the numbers and the information that we provided, none of the 6 properties actually met on damage assessment. They met it on flood elevation and floodplain levels. So to my knowledge, I don't think that we have any properties outside of the floodplain that would actually qualify with a BCA of greater than 1. So I don't think that's really an option to pull more properties in, that we are pretty much limited to floodplain only in Laverne.
What's the pleasure of this board?
Well, what they said, we ain't gonna get more likely nothing on phase 2, so we can't count on nothing on phase 2 and 3.
TEMA has told me that
Anything we're gonna do on phase
it is a competitive program, and they are focused on the acquisitions. But it is a competitive program, and as I said, the information I got from TEMA was that they have a reserve of $30 to $40 million, but that is across the state, and we don't know how much of that we can get.
If we can act on one of the properties, scenario 2, because that BCA is so high compared to the other ones, that might be the thing to do, and then take our chances in phase 2 with the other properties. That would be minus property number 1, though?
It'd be minus property number 1 and then also property number 3. Because pulling out that 2.03 lowers the average to where you can't include that property either.
And we have to act upon it this month, right? We have a deadline of March or?
The deadline for phase 1 applications is March 31st.
We'll
We'll have to have a decision tonight.
There's one other possible way to do scenario two, to where we could probably do all 5 properties, but I don't know which one you'd pick, is if you chose either the property with the 1.17 and 1.23 and just did the application on it and then let the 2.03 average. It'll help your average out, but I don't think that's fair. I mean, it's your 2.03. If you're going to just pick one, I think it should be your highest BCA. And if we do that, like Katie's saying, you will have to drop off another property in phase 2, or we'll drop below that value of 1 and definitely get disapproved at that point.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept scenario 2.
Okay. I have a motion to accept scenario 2. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. At this time, I will do a roll call vote. Alderman Green.
Yes, we have to do it, so.
Vice Mayor.
Aye.
Alderman Waldron.
No.
Alderman Broker.
Aye.
And I vote aye. Motion carries, so we'll move on and see how we go with this. I think we're doing the best we can with what we have, and I thank y'all for your time and efforts on this. Thank you. All right, we're going to move right along to number 21. Motion to initiate an annual 4th of July fireworks show beginning July 4th, 2011, and this received a favorable recommendation from the Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee. I need a motion to accept or to deny this motion for a new 4th of July show.
Motion to accept.
I have a motion to accept. Do I have a second? I'll second. And we will do a roll call vote. Alderman Green? Oh, I'm sorry.
May I ask-
Yeah, I
may
apologize.
ask
Yes, questions.
So we do July the 4th and no fireworks after Old Timers
Right,
Day?
right. We're trying to initiate more people coming in on the 4th here. We all go to other cities. We go to other places. We're hoping to maybe have a little picnic in the park.
Well, really, a lot of people don't bother to come back after.
They don't.
Old Timers. I mean, everybody, I do, I love it, but everybody's usually worn out. Everybody's gone.
Well, that's what they thought, Parks and Rec thought, well, let's give it a little twist and see how this works.
Well, a lot of people watches it at the house. Everybody has one 4th of July. We're the only ones that has fireworks, at that time of the year, and it's been a tradition.
Yeah.
I hate to lose it myself. I hate to lose Old Timers fireworks.
Well,
Oh, they do put on a good show.
they put on a great show.
But the same people's going to be doing
Same
it.
people
Same
could do
show,
the
with the
same
same
show.
contract, probably with some additions. And in lieu of losing it on Old Timers Day, we're going to add several other events. So hopefully that'll keep them in the park as well.
Okay. Any further discussion? Okay. We'll do a roll call. Alderman Green?
Aye.
Vice Mayor? Alderman Walden? Alderman Broker?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Motion carries. So we're going to give this a whirl and have us a good 4th of July and see how it goes. Number 22, motion to broaden Old Timers Day from a one-day event to a 3-day festival. This also received a favorable recommendation from the Parks and Recreation Advisory. Give us a little history on what your background on what we're wanting to do.
Yes, ma'am.
Just kind of bring them up to speed on this.
Basically, we want to keep some of the same events that we had with Old Timers Day and add a couple of days and some more events. Everything from pageants to amusement rides to all sorts of things. People are coming out of the woodworks right now with ideas. So it's basically something where Laverne can take pride in 3 days, something they can do where they're not having to travel outside of the city for entertainment. Again, I want to reiterate one thing. We're going to try to, in fact, I think the budget for the 3-day would be similar or even less with some of the new things we're doing than it was for 1 day. So, and also we are going to add some things like the amusement rides that can be revenue generators for the city. So in the past, this has been an event that's been a break even, where potentially this could bring revenues into the city and pay for many of Parks projects for the rest of the year.
And looking more toward a festival type than a one-day event. And of course, the parade will remain on that Saturday.
Yes, ma'am.
Having the parade, and hopefully that will be bigger and better.
Phyllis, have you ever figured up just on Old Timers Day how much overtime we spend on employees working just 1 day?
It's several $100s, but I don't have the exact numbers in front of me.
So, do we know how much this 3 days would cost?
I'd like to find out what it's gonna cost just in overtime for 3 days for the employees.
What you'll do on that is set up days instead of everybody coming in, they'd work their shifts around, I would think.
I know
To
some,
take, take time out,
some departments that talked about flexing
flex
some
out,
days.
yeah.
But I want to reiterate something. If it's 3,000, if it's 5,000, if it's 10,000, quite honestly, with some of the plans that we have with restaurants coming in, with the amusement rides, potentially this could be a moneymaker that would exceed any overtime costs. So again, and not just cost for Old Timers Festival, but again for trailer treats, for any of the parades, anything that the park does, I believe, or it will be a money generator. So.
Well, Fridays, you got people working, so Friday's gonna be a low turnout. Friday night, I'm kind of in favor of that. Maybe had music on Friday night. And Saturday normal, then you got Sunday, you got church. You'd have to do it after 12 o'clock, so that limits you then.
I respectfully disagree with you. I think Friday night, I think the whole festival will be blown out, but that's just, we'll hopefully we'll find that out.
So this would be what, on a
It would start Friday evening, didn't you say about
Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
and Sunday?
Our biggest overtime for the police department is for the parade, so we're gonna have a parade regardless.
Yeah.
So that's basically what we have to have everybody on the street for, is to direct traffic. Of course, there's gonna be additional anytime you run 3 days, but our biggest turnout and where we have to use most every officer is the parade and keeping the parade route safe. So we're gonna have a parade regardless, so that's still gonna be our one big day of overtime.
And we're gonna have a lot of volunteers too, I would think, so it's not.
We'll need them.
It's not every employee in town is gonna be working.
I know Old Timers Day in the past, I think just about every employee is working that day, which Friday they might not count up to overtime because that's a work day, but Sunday that would probably add another day.
There were several that worked this past year and several that volunteered. I volunteered, but I know that on the parking side, myself and you had 2 employees that were there that were paid overtime. I gave you my time free, so I'll do the same this year. But I think that there were some with the booth and et cetera. But some people I know, a couple of folks that did not work alternated schedules on Friday before. So you could, if we're planning now, we could probably plan to effectively use our overtime if we know that we're extending the event. So we could certainly do that now.
What I like, I'm not really totally against this, but the way the money's gonna be tight this year, it's a great idea. I think it's a great idea. It's something we need to look at, but I think at the budget time, we see how everything goes at budget time and maybe project it for next year. Just a lot of stuff is coming down the pike this year. We just don't know. 200 and something thousand dollars on radios, 73,000 coming out of water and sewer for this and that. We just don't know where we're sitting at. I think it's a great idea. I think the park's done a great effort in doing it. But I think we just need to sit back and kind of watch our pennies this year. But we don't know how we're going to do it budget time. And that's just my opinion.
I have to disagree, because I think we've been a setback and watch for years. It's time to step forward and not sit back and watch anymore, and start trying to figure something out.
And once again, without bringing up every little issue, there were things that we had done for businesses where we didn't charge, where basically gave away advertising.
That's exactly right.
And while that's great, I think we should take care of our businesses. Quite frankly, if you're going to get a prime location, I believe you should pay for it. I think we should offer something to the community that they want, not to use some people's terms. There's some parts of Old Timers Day that are pretty decent. There's other parts that I think have I'm going to use the word everyone said. It was a flea market, is what it's turned into. So,
do I have a motion? Okay. All right. And I need a motion to accept or to deny.
Make a motion to accept.
I have a motion to accept. I need a second. I'll second it. Now, do we have any further discussion? We'll do a roll call. Alderman Broker?
aye.
Alderman Waldron?
I feel we don't need to do it, but I'm all trying to do something new. I'll vote, try it 1 year.
You mean you voting yes,
I'm
finally?
voting yes.
Vice Mayor? Alderman Green?
I'm willing to try it
All
also.
right. And I'm going to give it a yes, so it passes. All right. Number 23. Excuse me. Motion to initiate an annual night Christmas parade, which will tie within the annual Christmas tree lighting ceremony. This also received a favorable recommendation from the Parks and Advisory Committee, and I think I've heard more excitement over the starting an annual Christmas parade, and what Alderman Broker has challenged that we start at the park and come backwards, end up here at City Hall, then have our annual tree lighting ceremony, and maybe add a little more spunk to it. Maybe Santa Claus might show up and all kinds of goodies. So do you want to elaborate on any of this?
I think you did a good job. That's basically it. But again, we'll do it on a Saturday night. I think it's December 3rd is what we were shooting for. Again, to give people an opportunity that were just a day we can relax and not a day. We had the Christmas tree lighting last year on Thursday, and I think a lot of people couldn't attend because of work or school or whatever.
Good job. Okay, I need a motion to accept or to deny an annual nighttime Christmas parade.
I'll make the motion to accept.
Have a motion to accept. Have a second.
Discussion. Everything about me says vote no on this, but I'm gonna give this a chance. 1 year.
You just want us to clap again.
1 year. No, I'm not gonna be Santa.
We got
Okay.
Fred.
All right, since this is a new item, we'll do a roll call. Alderman Green.
I'll give it a try
Okay.
too.
Vice Mayor. Alderman Waldron.
Yes.
Alderman Broker.
Aye.
And I vote aye. All right. Gosh, we're on a roll. Let's hurry. Number 24, motion to allow the placement of a memorial to Tim Kirch in the existing rock garden at the AAA complex in Veterans Memorial Park. Did I still get it wrong?
Get it.
USSA complex.
That's
Did I
good
get
enough.
enough
You got
S's?
one
That's
more
good.
S.
Received a favorable recommendation from the Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee. Again, I think this is something that's very, very special, and I'm going to allow Alderman Broker to elaborate on this.
This was actually first brought before the Parks and Rec Advisory Commission, or Advisory Board last year. I don't believe it ever made it up to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen. Basically, Tim Kirsch was a great volunteer, great coach, great umpire. The Laverne Baseball and Softball Association thought that it would be great to put a little small memorial in the existing rock garden on the way into the USSSA baseball complex. Again, thought it was the right move to bring it in front of the board and get a vote on it.
Well, I will be honored to make the motion that we place this memorial to Tim Kirch in the Rock Garden at Veterans Memorial. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, number 25, Resolution 2011-08, a resolution to amend Section 5 of the Personnel Rules and Regulations regarding group insurance eligibility for the employees. As it stands right now, even when we hire our any of our employees, but including the ones that are salaried, just like the new administrator, at this time, they have to wait 90 days. A lot of these employees, when we want to get good employees, this might, I feel, cause them to hesitate on coming to us. If you have insurance, especially at this day and time, and you're going to have to wait 90 days before you get insurance. All we're doing is making this insurance available upon employment. And Mr. Gaston, if you would like to elaborate on this.
It allows us to recruit better employees. It also allows us to hold on to folks and attract people more. I think I make the recommendation for key employees and someone rightfully set for any employee. The new police officers that we need to hire in the next few weeks, sometimes it's more than 90 days depending on where the hire date is, but it's first of the month after 90 days currently, and now to give us the flexibility to provide coverage and group medical to them at the most 31 days. So I think it's just a great recruitment tool.
I think so.
I got one question for Phyllis and two for you.
Okay.
This is cost to spend more money, right, Phyllis?
Yes.
And the other cities, do they do the same thing?
Well, I don't know about other cities, other companies. I come from the private sector, and it certainly was, we called it a key recruiting tool, so it was effective. I think to not have it, we lose people, you know.
But when you quit or leave a job, can't you carry the insurance over a few days?
At the COBRA rate, you pay the
You have to
COBRA
pay
rate. So you can, depending on up to 18 months, really up to 36, depending on the age of your children, but that doesn't cost the city. If I left the employment of the city tomorrow, then I would be covered through the end of the month, which is standard because premiums are paid at the beginning of the month. That's why the coverage is extended through the
Well,
end.
really, if you look at it, if an employee quits,
Then we don't keep,
we don't
that burden.
keep, but we're paying that employee's insurance.
Right.
He quits, we hire somebody. There's really no difference. I mean, it's like we're keeping that insurance continuing on.
The only thing that affects
So-
is bring in a new position.
Murfreesboro, 60 days. I do know that because I was interviewing with Murfreesboro before Laverne made the offer. So,
I need a motion to approve or to deny this resolution, and then we can have further discussion.
Make a motion to approve.
To approve, I have a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Second. All in favor, oh, I'm sorry, we need further discussion. Dennis got me all shook up. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. All right. Number 26, motion to consider offer in the Boone Corridor versus City of Laverne. I need a motion to accept or to deny the settlement offer.
Well,
it's obviously up to the board to decide that, as we discussed at the workshop, and as you were advised by the attorney that handled the lawsuit, Mr. Bill Bates, that, you know, you've got two options at this point. The plaintiff's attorney has made an offer to settle at a small discount at this juncture of the litigation process, or the city has the option to make application to appeal to the Tennessee Supreme Court. As it stands now, Mr. Bates wasn't able to obtain a new number, so the offer that was made originally is what is before the board. So it's your option to either accept it or decline it.
I'll make the motion to accept it.
I have a motion to accept. Do I have a second?
I will second.
I have a second. Now I will open this up for any further discussion that y'all might feel that you need.
I don't know if it'd be appropriate really to discuss legal matters here, but I guess you can. What would benefit us to turn it down and carrying it to more litigation?
I mean, well, to answer your question, there would be a small chance that the Tennessee Supreme Court could grant review of the case, but that's extremely remote. And then even if the Tennessee Supreme Court were to grant review of the case, it would be, I think, a small chance that they would overturn the ruling of the Court of Appeals and the jury.
You're looking at hundreds of thousands.
And then you're looking at a lot of additional interest that continues to run on the judgment. So I don't see that it's a benefit at all to the city to continue to appeal the jury verdict.
So you don't think it benefits to turn the offer down right now?
I think the odds of being successful on appeal to the Tennessee Supreme Court are extremely small.
What about dealing with the
mediation,
the deal work between going there?
As you know, at the workshop, Mr. Bates was instructed to communicate with the plaintiff's attorney, and I forwarded the email Mr. Bates sent to me, and it didn't look like he could obtain a new number. So I think what you've got before you is what's before you.
Okay.
But you're not forced to do anything. You can make a counteroffer if you want to. You can not do anything, or you can vote to appeal it.
Okay, I have a motion to accept, and I have a second. Any further discussion?
Yeah. I think that it's a sad chapter in Laverne that we have to put behind us, and the more we wait on this, we're getting into the millions as far as this settlement goes. And the only reason that I will vote to accept will be just to end it and not accrue any more costs.
I think that's a very fair and true statement. I agree. Move on and learn. Learn from these.
We've learned a lot by
Exactly.
putting
Okay,
it
we'll
off.
do a roll call since this is a major decision here. Alderman Broker,
Aye.
Alderman Waldron.
No.
Vice Mayor, Alderman Green,
Aye.
and I vote aye. All right, we're down to the mayor and alderman comments. We're going to start with you, Alderman Green.
Well, I have an exciting weekend. I have a grandson that's getting married Saturday evening.
Oh, congratulations.
So, and I had a great vacation. So,
Glad to have you back.
thank you.
Is that it? Vice Mayor?
I just want to thank everybody that came out over the last few weeks and helped the Curtis family when their house caught on fire. It really showed how people in Laverne come together. And I appreciate them and all the citizens and employees that have helped in that.
They are a great group. Alderman Waldron?
Just want to congratulate everybody that's got awards tonight. It's always good to see Laverne get the pat on the back, something Boston in Laverne. Everybody looked good. And want to remind everybody about the Celebrate Laverne History. Donna touched on it earlier. It's going to be March 12th, 3 to 5 at the Civic Auditorium. I think it's the 5th time we've had it. Anybody want any more information, they can call 793-3224. But it's at the Civic Auditorium, March the 12th from 3 to 5. Free parking, free admission, going to have food and entertainment.
It's very interesting, if you haven't been, to see how Laverne has progressed.
And the Park and Rec does a fabulous job as usual, getting it all together, and I appreciate it. And that's it. Thank you.
Alderman Broker?
Yes, ma'am. If it's appropriate, I'd like to have Trish Kurtz stand up to kind of follow up on what the vice mayor spoke of. Is Zach here? Okay. The Curse family has asked me to extend their thanks. Just to elaborate a little bit, February 13th, they lost their house, all the contents, their family, pet, and that was the sad part. But within about 12 hours, this community, businesses, residents rallied behind them, and this board, starting with the mayor, the vice mayor, were right on the scene. The vice mayor doesn't want to take a lot of credit for it, but I know how hard he worked. He even replaced the family pet. So there's so many people to thank. Kroger, I know I'm gonna mess this up, but Mattress Firm. There's so many businesses here in Laverne, Laverne Fire Department, Laverne Police Department, Laverne High School Baseball, Laverne High School Softball, Vicky Walker, Carla Lyons, and the list goes on. And I know, but on behalf of Ms. Curse, I just want to say thank you. Earlier this meeting, you talked about the way Laverne comes together, and they truly do every time there's something like this. So thank you for the Curse family. And
I thank everybody for everything. We truly appreciate it.
Us Lavernians stick together. But don't start crying. I'll start crying. Any more comments?
no, ma'am.
Again, I think you're seeing the caliber of people we have in this city. They're pretty awesome, and I'm honored to be a part of that. Also, I'd like to remind everyone that Roy Waldron's drama department will be having Alice in Wonderland. The play, I think it was March the 10th and 11th. I apologize, I left my card, but you can call Roy Waldron or go on their website. I'm sure it's advertised there, so let's go out and support those children. And again, another great job. Thank all of my employees for all your hard work. We love seeing this crowd. I'd like to also introduce Miss Deborah Balthrop, who is now our new liaison that will be working here for the chamber. So we're excited to have her. Again, thank you everyone for everything that you've done. Meeting adjourned.